Hi everyone, it's John. What up? Welcome back to another video. Today we're reviewing episode 5 of the third season of the Wheel of Time, Tel'aran'rhiod. So if you love the Wheel of Time, if you're excited about the third season, or if you want to hear more about the news that's coming up, the new movies, the animated feature, all of the other Wheel of Time merch and things that are in the pipe right now, and you want to keep up with all of the current Wheel of Time news, consider making us your home for Wheel of Time news. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course, tell all your friends. Now today's review will be done in 2 parts. The first part will be completely spoiler-free, and we'll talk about the show in very general terms. We won't ruin anything from the books or the episode at all. Then we'll give a score, then we'll dive into spoilers after that. So you will get a spoiler warning. You'll see the little red hand of doom spoiler down there. You'll know they're spoilers. So episode 5, Tel'aran'rhiod, a solid entry into the third season. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, John, solid entry doesn't sound that great. Why are you starting out like that? It was such a good episode. It was a good episode, but it was a solid entry for the third season. So if this episode happened to be in season 1, it would have been the top of my list. It would have been my favorite episode in the season, bar none, hands down, no questions asked. If it had been in season 2, it would have been my second favorite episode, right behind Eyes Without Pity, episode 7. That episode, masterfully done, absolutely gorgeous episode. This would have been just behind it. But for the third season, we've had such high highs so far that it comes in as a solid entry, a setup episode for plots that are coming in later. And that's not a bad thing. Series need setup episodes. Series need to slow down. They need to spend time with characters, and they need to advance the plot in small ways to set things up for later on. So there was a lot of great moments in this episode. Marta Cunningham, the director, is a phenom when it comes to drama. She's directed a ton of drama, a ton of thrillers, a ton of slowed down character moments, character development, plot development. She's really very good at all of that and has won awards for it. And that's what we got in this episode. We got a lot of that. So we had a lot of tender moments between couples. We had a lot of character development moments between friends. We had a lot of plot development moments. So we set up entirely new plots for the second half of the season. So we had what would arguably be called the mid-season finale last week. This week we have to set up for the actual finale of the series. So you have to shift gears a little bit here. You have to move towards things that are happening later on. And in doing so, you have to sacrifice a few things. So for this episode, there was some action, but not a ton of it. There was just enough to keep people who really, really love action interested and involved and to progress the plot, in my opinion. The world building, really, really good in this episode, although I will say that the entire episode probably would have benefited from an additional 5 or 6 minutes runtime just to add a little bit more to the world building. There was a whole new branch of characters introduced, a whole new place introduced, there was a lot of new ideas introduced, and some of the explanations and the scenes with them felt just a bit truncated. Now, I've said I've loved the editing so far this season. It's been incredibly tight. They've done really great things with it. This episode is the first episode I felt that they could have added just a bit more time. And that's just a nitpick for me. I always want more time for a Wheel of Time episode, but this one doesn't feel like it was absolutely perfect when it came to timing. It just needed a bit more time to spend with some of those groups of characters to make the average viewer comfortable, in my opinion. The last thing I want to mention about this is the shooting of the scenes. So the scenes were fantastic. The cinematography was really great. But I will say that a couple of the scenes in this, and in fact, a number of the scenes in this were filmed at night, and they felt dark. And I've had that same kind of complaint before about nighttime episodes in the Wheel of Time. Not all of them, but some of them, where when they film in the evening or in the dark, it feels just a little too dark. It's not as well lit as I would like. We are nowhere near the debacle that was the Battle of Winterfell and on Game of Thrones. That was just a nightmare and should never have been filmed, in my opinion. But it's just a little bit. Again, another little nitpick for me. So Marta Cunningham, the director of this episode, is a phenom when it comes to character development, drama, politics, thrillers. She has won awards for those things. And it really does show and shine in this episode that she got to slow down and spend some time with the characters. So again, like I said, a solid entry in the third season. And the only reason it's not scored higher is because, well, let's face it, we've had some really, really, really high bars set so far this season. So I'm going to have to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10, which is still an amazing score, like a really, really good score, and likely better than any score I've given for most of the episodes in season 1 and season 2. So again, a big step up, just a few little nitpicky things, maybe some more time would have helped with some of the exposition just a little bit. I would really like to see that. All right, so now we're going to get into spoiler territory, folks. So if you have not read the first 5 books of the Wheel of Time, that's the Eye of the World, Through the Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan, or if you've not seen the entire show so far up to episode 5 of the third season, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums. So Martin Cunningham, absolutely wonderful director when it comes to character moments, interpersonal relationships, character development, plot development. She's really, really good at that stuff, folks. The politicking, fantastic. And she didn't do too bad with the action in this episode either. There was a little bit of action, nothing crazy, nothing over the top, nothing fantastical, but there was a bit. So I want to start a little bit with those character moments that I enjoyed so much. So seeing Mat and Min together again, oh, I was happy to see the two of them together. I think their dynamic complements each other well. The way they're written, their plot lines arc together and twine together very nicely with the way that they're being treated on screen. And it's a great way to keep them both in the story right now, especially considering at this point in the books, there's not a whole lot of Min, and Mat's story has kind of been chunked to the right in the last couple seasons. We're getting him back to the forefront, which I really like what they're doing with the two of them to get them more screen time. Again, more screen time for them. Let's add 2 hours to the runtime of every episode, please. Seeing Maksim and Alanna, that was another big highlight for me for this episode. I love seeing their chemistry on screen. I like the dynamic. I like that mini arc that we took throughout this episode with the two of them, that little mini story that they had together about having a hard time with each other and the loss of their third. It was heart-wrenching, gorgeous, and amazing all at once. Rand and Egwene. We got to see more of Rand and Egwene. And I know at this point, there's a lot of people out there like, when is this going to stop? Well, folks, it has to at some point or another. But I think we're going to start seeing that now, considering that Egwene has seen Lanfear with Rand, and that's not a good thing for her. Considering she's been tortured by Lanfear in her dreams for quite some time. Moiraine and Lan. I liked seeing the two of them together. I just like seeing them. I would, again, I'd watch an entire spin-off of Maksim and Alanna, and I'd watch a second spin-off of Moiraine and Lan. If we could have New Spring Plus, like after the events of New Spring, up to the Eye of the World with Moiraine and Lan as a series, I'd watch that every day. We have the Maksim and Alanna show, where they're off doing their own adventures, doing Greenage stuff. I'd watch that too. It's such a great dynamic between all of them. And the acting in this episode, bar none, hands down, wonderful acting. They've done a lot of great things with the script. Seeing Perrin and Faile, oh come on, they're my favorite couple, folks. Perrin and Faile are my favorite couple in the book series. Seeing them on screen, just seeing Faile, she's my second favorite character behind Gawain. Gorgeous, absolutely love seeing her on screen. There's a lot of other things that I want to talk about here too. So there's these sets, Cold Rock's Hold, absolutely amazing set. You get to meet that little girl. The moments between Rand and her, it felt like the last of his innocence, if that makes any sense at all. Seeing that on screen, I was like, we all know those of us who read the books, we know what's coming with Rand. We know what's going to happen, and I think that's going to be one of the last times you see him truly just being carefree on screen. I think that's it, folks, and it was nice that they added that in there. Sea folk. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about when I said that some of the exposition, the introductions needed more time. The sea folk needed more time. Sea folk are an incredibly important part of the story, but even in the Wheel of Time books, I find they're neglected a fair bit, which is odd, because I think they're so interesting and so cool. We should have way more of them. Now, I understand in the show you have to cut things, you have to move things around, but I think that an extra 5 minutes with them probably would have cemented things just a little bit better. Now, we kind of sort of did get that with Egwene going through the dream at the end, when she was popping in everybody's dreams, and she got to see them on the boat, weaving those giant weaves for the weather. I think that was probably going to be the end cap to the sea folk little storyline there within this episode. But if we had spent an extra 5 minutes with them, learning a bit more about them, their customs, their culture, talking about a few other things, I think that probably would have gone a long way to keeping casual show watchers involved and informed. So that's something the show kind of struggles with, I find, at times, is there's so much information, there's so many things going on, it's hard to get everything out there in a manner that's entertaining, that feels natural. And that can happen, but it does need more time for it to happen. And this is one of those times when I think that if they'd spent another 5 minutes with the sea folk, it would have made all the difference with those scenes for me. They were wonderful, they were gorgeous, but it needed more, in my opinion. There's so many nice things to say about this episode, but again, I think because it's in the third season, and because we've had such bangers of episodes prior to this, coming off of episode 4, this certainly did feel like, from the beginning, a setup episode for the rest of the plot for the rest of the season, and you can almost tell that it was written to do just that. And because of that, like, I had to lower the score a little bit. Little nitpicky things with the extra time. If we had some more time with the Sea Folk, we got to spend a little bit more on some of the Tower politics. I love seeing Elida and the Swan. There's a fair bit of that in this episode, but I need more. I think casual book fans or casual show fans would like more of that. And then again, just seeing some of the things that they decided to push quickly. So you see Natty Cawthon and the girls with the White Cloak camp. I think that could have been an entire episode all by itself. They did a very good job shortening it, cutting it down. But again, that could have had a few more minutes here and there to go through the White Cloak's motivations. Why were they captured? What was going on? Just a little bit more in depth. And I think it would have helped a whole lot with that. But either way, 8.5, solid entry into the third season. I super love this episode. And I can't wait to see what you folks think of the next couple episodes. Now, there are a ton of Easter eggs in this episode. We're going to go through those in an Easter egg video tomorrow. There is a breakdown video coming the following day from me. So on Saturday, you'll see a breakdown video of this episode. We'll talk about differences between books and show. And there are a fair number here that they're diverging, but there's a lot of similarities here, folks. And there's a lot of things I purposely didn't spoil in today's review when I talked about things in Cold Rock's Hold, with Rand, with the Sea Folk, things like that are coming from the books that I think are very important that we'll talk about in the breakdown video. And then on Sunday, you're going to start seeing interviews from me. So we have an interview with Gowan Tricand, Luke Featherston himself. I have another interview with Thomas Napper, the director of episode 3 and 4 this season. They're both going to come out starting Sunday. And then we have a few other breakdown videos and things going on. So I, for one, I'm so excited that there's so much Wheel of Time stuff to talk about right now, and I hope it never goes away. I hope we have this for the next 15 seasons, folks. I really do. So let me know in the comments down below what you folks thought of this episode. Do you agree with 8.5 score? I think it's personally pretty fair, but I think some people may have rated this a little bit higher. But let me know in the comments what you folks think, and thank you so much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.